So what's your question?
My question is, for example, you have a high performance athlete, for example, like a golf athlete, and before the game, you know that he's tight in a range, and you do a TL procedure. Does the brain is gonna recognize that new range with the power that had in the other range? For example, if you only had gone through here to the backswing and you
Mhm.
go more,
Mhm.
so does the brain gonna recognize those 10 degrees from the hips and the thoracic spine, so it can give it power again? So the brain is gonna recognize all the movement pattern with the same power.
That's a great question. And the answer to that question is no. It means that with all athletes, you should always, like I did with the discus thrower and with other athletes, you should always pre-train them using those lengthening procedures on the muscles that need to be lengthened to increase momentum, and the muscles that need to be strengthened to increase power, right, and contractile force. You need to do that successively over a period of time before their actual competition. Otherwise, they will throw off course, or they won't throw. The golfer won't. The ball will go farther. Like I can do that for the first time with a golfer with a line drive. I can make them shoot farther, where it's not important the accuracy of the shot, where the shot actually ends up, like right or left or whatever. But with somebody that requires accuracy, no, the brain's not going to know. You're never going to do something like that for the first time on an athlete right before a competition. But if they're used to receiving that, and the brain is accustomed to working within that range, and that's been part of their training, then you absolutely do it. Does that answer your question?
Okay.
Now, when you're using the TS technique to strengthen a muscle, you would assume that that would create more stability in the joint, which I would think could possibly open up a range of motion, lengthening other tissues. Is that correct? When you do it, just doing a TS without like necessarily a TL. So just by doing TS on a joint, you could actually open up ranges of motion.
Well, that's another interesting question. The thing about TS is that, and TL, is that TS seems to also increase length somewhat, but the primary action is increasing strength. And the TL also seems to sometimes increase strength, but the primary action is increasing length.
Interesting.
Do you have any questions? No?
Is it conceivable that we could use a bunch of TS techniques?
A bunch?
Like a bunch. Around the synergists of a specific movement and stabilize a joint enough that we might lengthen the tissues that we meant to lengthen without necessarily TLing?
Yeah, that's a very good concept. It's possible. It's possible. It's a good concept, and the reason you're saying that is because of the studies that show that PNF prior to activity sometimes can weaken a muscle. Is that why you're saying that?
That's part
So
of
you
it.
prefer to do the TSs or what?
Well, the thing is, I'm asking because I come from the mindset that the body shuts down ranges of motion purposely neurologically in order to protect the joint from instability.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So if we create enough stability around a joint, then it's feasible that the body will automatically let you have that range.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. That's an excellent concept, and I think we're going to have to try that out, because that sounds like it makes a lot of sense, especially with respect to structural support. Yeah.
There's other people, for example, I'm not gonna say the technique, the exact technique, but their premise
There's
is,
other techniques out there?
No, yeah,
Other than Trigenics?
It's a stretching technique. It's not. It's
Really?
not. It's not Trigenics. It's a stretching
Okay.
technique, purely stretching technique. And their premise is that they say that you only stretch a muscle while doing an eccentric contraction.
Eccentric.
Eccentric. And did they say if you do a static, that's...
How are you stretching the muscle during the eccentric contraction? You're talking about from the lengthened position.
From the shortened position.
From the shortened position.
And then, yeah, and they say that you stretch and strengthen at the same time.
Mm.
So I don't know what's your take on that.
I don't know. I haven't measured it, so I wouldn't know the
Okay.
answer to that. It's a good question, but I don't know the answer.
because I know that muscle engineering technique, they do eccentric contractions to break up adhesions,
Mm-hmm.
but you can get sore after that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know because this technique I had it done to me. I was sore for 5 days.
Wow.
It was like I did eccentrics with 100 pounds or something like that, deadlifts or squats or lunges or split squats or something like that.
Did it fix the problem?
Mostly not,
Okay.
because he wasn't addressing. I found that the person wasn't addressing the joint capsule,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt pain,
Mm-hmm.
and my body was compensating
Mm-hmm.
with synergistic dominance when I was
Mm-hmm.
pushing down with my leg to do the hamstring stretch.
Mm-hmm.
The glute stretch.
Mm-hmm.
My hamstring just started to jump because of the synergistic dominance.
Right.
So that's why I didn't like it. I didn't like it because of that, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like it because I felt like sore for 5 days.
Right. Well, so that's a lot of good reasons to not like it. Not
And
necessarily have it. Okay.
oh, that's it.
All right. Well, here we all are at the private Trigenics course down in Los Angeles. We've got a little bit of everything from every corner of the world. We've got physiotherapists, chiropractor from Switzerland, from Puerto Rico, and you guys are from LA and Pasadena. Massage therapist and MAT practitioner and certified strength and conditioning coaches. So we basically got it all going on down here in Los Angeles, and I hope that some of these questions that the students here had might also have been questions that you might have, and this little video might have helped you in some way to open your eyes to the possibilities of neurosummative treatment techniques.